Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome to another episode of Trudge Report. This is a recovery-based podcast, but don't worry. If you're not sober or not ready to be sober, we talk about plenty of other things, including sports, training topics, and a good bit of nonsense. All month of October, we'll have some Halloween/spooky topics for our recovery and before our recovery topics each week. My name is Greg, and I am your host tonight. Sean is away at a work function. I'm joined by my good friends and fellow treasures, Bill and Corey. Like I said, Sean's away for work, but he may or may not pop in at some point. Just a reminder for all of you listening that going forward, we will be changing our release date for new episodes to come out on Thursdays. So remember to listen on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Our videos will still come out on Fridays each week, so you can watch episodes on YouTube and Facebook. But as always, be sure to download on your listening platforms. Remember to like and subscribe on all social media outlets with the handle at Trudge Report Pod. We are brought to you by Stella Mix Podcast Management and our wonderful producer and editor, Miss Janine Stella. Good evening, boys. How we doing?
Hanging in there.
I'm hanging out there.
Hanging out there.
Yeah. I guess let me bitch for a second, just real quick, just so I hate the Philadelphia Eagles. I hate them. God, it's so disappointing. It's so fucking disappointing to see the same like incohesiveness happen for the last I don't even remember, 7 games of last season, something like that. And then now, now we're 2-2, sure, but like it's just been a mess. The 2 games we won were a mess. Although against the Saints, the defense was nice, but they left all that in New Orleans, of course, and that was that. So we lost to Tampa yesterday, going into a bye at 2-2, I guess, like whatever. But hopefully, Devontae Smith and AJ Brown are healed up and ready to go, and Lane Johnson as well. Because I don't know, I got spoiled when I started watching in 2022 because they were just on it, and I was like, oh my god, they're the greatest thing that ever happened to football in the history of anything.
Yeah, you got a lot of
turns out they're not.
catch up on a lot of misery to catch up on.
But
you know what? Welcome to the club. My football team sucked for years. They continue to suck.
They left their city
having one of the best offenses, at least on paper, built in my lifetime. They continue to just suck and did so yesterday against the Raiders minus their 2 top players. So,
hey, you know what? You know what,
club, bub.
Listen, next Eagles game, we'll see which one of our teams suck more then.
Indeed.
It's going to be Browns and Eagles, so.
Indeed.
We'll see. But other than that, I'm having a decent time, I guess. I had a freaking problem there. I was going to text you, Greg. I had a problem there for like several days of eating. I couldn't stop snacking. And so I don't know, but I've recommitted. I woke up this morning and I recommitted. It's hard because Gabby's on overnights and I work at night sometimes, and all I want to do is snack while I'm working. And the kids have Cheez-Its. But
that'll do it.
Yeah, dude, they're good.
That'll do it.
But steady in the gym still, and just the eating is 90% of it, man. You know?
Yeah. Every time you snack, you spike your insulin, Corey.
I don't. Do I even have insulin? What's that? I have that in my body.
It's probably it's a whole topic, I think, for an episode, probably. But
like
snacking is the worst. You want to try to do just the square meals and not snack in between. If you're going to eat heavy at a meal, prefer over snack.
I mean, for me, it's healthy snacks, dude. So like where I used to eat chips or whatever. Nowadays, like when I come home from work, I get an apple, or I get I make myself like a turkey wrap or a chicken wrap, like just sliced lunch meat and like a veggie wrap with it. As boring as that sounds,
see what he's doing there, Corey. In a couple months, he'll stop snacking because that should taste so bad.
Yeah, it's terrible.
It's not fun.
That's what I did.
My least favorite thing to eat of all this healthy bullshit, I told you, Greg, egg whites. Now, I did throw a shit ton of pepper on them,
Yeah, you gotta
and
church them up.
we got them down.
Why egg whites though?
Just protein and no fat.
Eat the whole fucking egg.
No, it's bad for you.
Bullshit.
Well, it's
The
just got
yolk's
a lot
bad.
of fat in it. It's good
Yeah.
fat. It's good
It's
fat.
good-
Though.
the
Yeah, but
best
not too
fat.
much.
There's a whole life in that egg, Corey. A whole life sustaining.
Yeah, and I don't want to kill it.
egg.
I want to take the life out of
Everything
it
you need.
and eat what's left. No, normally I do one whole egg.
Do.
One whole egg.
Well, the
and one egg
Cheez-Its, I
white.
guess you got to cut out the healthy egg fat, so you can eat the Cheez-Its. I got you.
Yeah, but I like to have a slice of cheese on the egg whites too. So that's I'm just
That's- it
sacrificing.
It cancels it out then.
No, it makes it
literally
worse.
cancels
It
out.
makes
What
it
do you mean?
worse because it's processed cheese on top of
Very
an egg,
true.
and you're
There's nothing
taking
processed
that.
about it. It's real
Very
cheese.
true.
No.
Never mind, folks out there listening. We're not going to have a horror episode because talking about Corey's diet is horror enough.
Yeah,
I'll end with this.
cheese that comes in the individual plastic wraps is not natural.
Oh no, we don't do singles over here. We don't do craft
okay.
singles. Oh my god, no. We get
So
deli
you're
sliced.
doing. Well, that's not.
It's-
so this is
it's
a
much
whole
better.
topic, bro.
Listen.
Because
it's-
you're gonna go European cheese or a hard cheese on me. Okay, I got you. But the other stuff is all garbage.
I don't
eat it.
I don't
but
want any hard cheese in the morning. Listen,
not-
so
I have to talk to Gun Show.
last thing. I'm at the gym this afternoon. And this guy is, I walk in and I check in, right? The scanner, ding, whatever. And then this guy is blocking my freaking way. He's just standing in the middle of everything. I actually thought of you, Greg, when you said in a couple episodes ago or whatever, like situational awareness. There's none of it, right? Or is that the right? Yeah. Anyway,
Yes.
Yeah, that's correct.
he's like blocking my way. He's got like a freaking roller bag with him at the gym as if he had bowling balls with him. I'm like, bro, the bowling alley's down the street. So whatever. I end up getting by him narrowly. And then I'm at the locker and I'm putting my stuff in. And he walks up right next to me, taps me on the arm and goes, "Hey, you mind if I share that locker with you?" And I look at him and then he like taps me on the shoulder and starts laughing as he walks away or whatever. I'm like, so funny. Am I not putting off enough of that? Like, don't talk to me in public.
No, he simply saw you and he was just like, let me piss this guy off.
Yeah.
Watch this. I'm going to troll him.
It's just it sounds like a weird guy.
I'm like, dude, I try my best to be very standoffish and not approachable. Some people don't get it. Anyway, that's all from me. That was a while.
It worked
Thank
for
you.
me, Corey. So it is working on some people.
Sick. Attaboy.
Billy Boy,
All
got
right.
anything?
Well, yeah, I got a couple things. I love how you two related over having shitty football teams. But I really can't relate. You know the history. I don't want to talk about football at all like that. First things first, Johnny C. Office takeover. I got a huge sailfish on me behind the wall there. That's the pride of the old Atlantic right there. And also, we've got a few live games going on. The real big news this week, as Corey knows, I am the reigning Stewart Christmas Parade Judge's Choice first place trophy holder. The trophy's actually in my office next door. If anybody wants to see pictures of it, I'll send them gladly. I'll even sign autographs. I am the reigning champ. And this year, we're going to be going for back-to-back title. I don't know if you guys have seen my floats before. Corey has.
Oh, yeah.
They're pretty crazy. So this year, they announced the topic for the Christmas parade. It's going to be Christmas movies. And old Johnny and I were just conjuring up some ideas this afternoon. We think we've nailed down the idea. So now we get to work on getting it all together. So us and our 20 people for labor will get the float done by December for sure. So we're excited about that. That's going to be a lot of fun. My favorite part about the Christmas parade is I always get to MC. And as Corey sees me doing, I go down the street and I cut up on everybody there and have a really fun time with it. So I'm excited for that. But yeah, that's pretty much it for me.
Christmas movies.
Yeah. I was
Christmas
thinking Christmas
movies.
Story, but I think a lot of people are going to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot
I
of
would
people
go
do
with some.
Grinch and Christmas Story.
We thought Die Hard. would
Yeah,
be a good
Die
one.
Hard.
Oh my
Die
God.
Hard or Batman Returns.
It's not a Christmas movie.
That's a whole nother subject again. So
Yeah.
we'll cross that bridge during Christmas season.
Yeah.
But I'm pumped because guess
Intriguing.
what? One more thing. Greg can't relate to this. It's about to be nice and cool in Florida. The weather's about to cool off,
Yeah.
and we're about to enjoy life
Man,
again.
my weather's already cooled off up here. It's nice.
Oh, it's hot as hell here. Stewart has a great Christmas parade. I mean, one of the best, dude. One of the best.
I 100% agree.
It's wild. They do great. It's like 2 straight hours. It ain't
Dude,
no
that
15
thing
minutes.
is packed wall to
Yeah.
wall too. It's like when we turn the corner on that float and I'm out there on the thing, I get a little intimidated. I'm like, oh boy,
Dude,
a lot of people out here.
One year we're out there with Lucy. I think it was before Noah was born. And, all the sheriffs are walking by or whatever. All of a sudden, Congressman Mast walks up to us and says hi. I'm like, whoa, I know you. That's cool.
Yep.
Nice.
Yep. Yeah, it's cool, man. It's a pretty cool event. Greg, fly down for it. We'll put you on the float.
I'll be around Christmas up here. I'll actually have more of a Christmas because actually we haven't gotten snow really.
It's first week of December though. It's not really Christmas. It's right after Thanksgiving.
Yeah, they do it for my birthday.
Correct.
Yeah.
Because I knew that.
Yeah.
Very good. Very good.
Yep.
All right, guys. It's been good. Talk to you guys later.
Later.
Right. I guess before we get started, I suppose I owe a small mea culpa for last week's episode, concerning some of our listeners who are residents of Delaware when I basically shit all over Delaware. So I'm sorry, but I'm not sorry for shitting all over Delaware, and my opinion holds true. But it is, again, my opinion, and I'm sure that if you live there, you take a lot of pride in it, and that's all well and good, and I'm happy for you. So there you go.
You're going to be sleeping with the fishes.
Maybe. I've always been a bit aquatic, so
I would have owed a mea culpa if it wasn't for the editors here at Stella Mix.
Yes, you would have.
But
so
the listeners will never know.
Our lovely editor took care of you on that one. So
oh yeah.
All right. So as I mentioned in the intro, we're all going to take turns this month. The best month of the year, the best time of the year. It's Halloween time. It's spooky season. So we are each going to take our turns, doing a little deep dive or a little favorite Halloween topic, however you want to put it. This is, like I said, one of my most favorite times of the year, and as far back as I can remember, I've always been fascinated and enamored by the spooky, the paranormal, the occult, the things that go bump in the night. Maybe it's just my curious nature, my love for horror movies and books, or maybe some of my own experiences with the spirit world, which we can get into later, possibly. But tonight, for my part, I'd like to discuss the careers of legendary ghost hunters and so-called demonologists Ed and Lorraine Warren, and some of the most notorious cases they've been a part of over the years. No doubt many of you have seen them in the Conjuring films or Annabelle or The Nun. You'll know them as the centerpiece heroes that are just trying to help families in peril from demons and malicious spirits and stuff like that. They're often portrayed to be righteous, loving, and altruistic in their quest to drive evil from the lives of unsuspecting victims. But who were they really? Edward was a self-taught and self-professed demonologist, author, and lecturer who claimed to have grown up in a haunted house and been in touch with spirits from an early age. Lorraine professed to be a clairvoyant and light trance medium who worked closely with her husband. She said that she could see auras around people ever since she was 7 or 8 years old. And she was scared that if she told her parents, they'd think she was crazy. So she kept these abilities to herself until she met Ed when they were both about 16 years old. He went overseas in the Navy to World War II and returned in 1945, and they were married. 7 years later, they founded the New England Society for Psychic Research, which is the NESPR, the oldest ghost hunting group in New England. They authored many books about the paranormal and their private investigations into various reports of paranormal activity. They claimed to have investigated well over 10,000 cases during their career. They were among the first investigators in the Amityville haunting, which we'll talk about here in a second. According to them, the Warrens, their organization uses a variety of individuals, including medical doctors, researchers, police officers, nurses, college students, and members of the clergy in its investigations. So if at any point you guys want to stop me or whatever, just feel free to shout it out. I got a lot of info in here, so if we want to talk about anything specific or whatever, just like let's let it roll. But here's some of their more famous investigations. In 1970, the Perrone family moved into an old farmhouse in Rhode Island. It wasn't long before their dream home became their worst nightmare. Carolyn, Roger, and their 5 children witnessed a tall woman in a gray dress roaming the house. Ed and Lorraine investigated the home and discovered that the woman was a 19th century witch named Bathsheba, who had sacrificed her baby to the devil before hanging herself from a tree in the backyard.
Yo,
Wow.
that skeleton behind you just fell down by itself.
It did. Bathsheba
Do you
was
have that rigged or something,
constant.
you motherfucker?
I swear to God, I didn't. Bathsheba was a constant penetrating force in the house and fought with Carolyn for dominance. Carolyn's daughter, Andrea, recalls that the spirit loathed my mother and lusted after my father. My mother was never allowed to resume her rightful position as mistress of the house. And
okay, but did Roger allow this or not?
He might have. He might have been into something like that.
Because I mean,
who knows?
All right.
According to Andrea, the family encountered several other spirits in the house, including the ghost of Abigail Arnold, that made their beds levitate and smelled like rotting flesh. The family avoided going into the basement because of a cold, stinking presence. However, unlike the movie that this story, that's based upon this story, The Conjuring, they did not perform an exorcism. Instead, they performed a seance that had Carolyn speaking in tongues before she was allegedly thrown across the room by spirits. Shaken by the seance and concerned for his wife's mental health, Roger asked the Warrens to leave and stop investigating the house. According to Andrea Perrone's account, the family finally saved up enough to move out of the house in 1980 and the hauntings stopped. So for a decade, they lived in this home and the hauntings supposedly persisted for the entire decade that they were there. Another more famous case.
Well,
go ahead.
Hold on. So before you move on, so number one, The Conjuring is, I mean, it's up there on my favorite horror movies. I mean, the story is so damn good, but like the case itself is super interesting.
Yes.
Because like number one, I mean, I was just watching a interview the other day with, I think the oldest of the children, what's her name? Andrea Perrone?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I think. She's the one that wrote the book that inspired The Conjuring, I believe. And man, when you hear her talk about it, I mean, if she's lying, she is damn good.
A
dude.
Really good liar, right?
And I don't know really where I sit on it. Like I truly, like, I definitely believe in a spiritual realm and stuff like that. So I guess like hauntings and things, I'm definitely not saying they don't happen, you know. And I might even think they do, but either way, I mean, it is pretty chilling when you talk about it. She even said that they couldn't even put a lot of the stuff in the movie, like what happened in real life in their lives. She said was worse than what was depicted. Yep. In the movie. I mean,
the book is an interesting read, you know, whether you're a skeptic or not. It is.
I was going to buy it.
Eye-opening for sure.
So hopefully, I'm sure I'll mention a couple times this month, but I've already mentioned it. Gabby and I are driving up to Salem on November 1st, actually, and the Conjuring house, as it's been
not too far away there up in Rhode Island.
Dude, it's like a 20-minute drive off the route there.
Oh, so yeah.
I think so. I just don't know.
Gabby's not going to let you not go. I don't think she's going to want to go, right?
I don't know. I think I'm pushing for it more than her, but
okay.
like at first I thought like I just kind of want to drive by it and look at it and just say I was there. Then I'm like, should I
Well,
go in?
no. I know you do that.
Should we spend the night? No.
I'm not spending a damn night. You can pay to do
Hell
that.
no.
And I ain't doing that. But yeah,
yeah.
to be determined whether we go in or not. But we'll see.
Nice.
Go on. I love
I
that
hope you
story.
do.
We'll see. I just don't. It's not that I feel like I don't actually think I'm gonna get like possessed by walking in there, but I don't want to mess with too many negative energies in my life. I got enough of them. I don't know.
True.
Hey, man. If you open the door to that, and just believing in it in and of itself, yeah. So
I'd rather you go in before me. Actually,
I'm totally down for that.
I'll push you in and just run.
Yeah,
it's the kind of friend I am. Go on. This is good stuff.
All right. So in a locked glass box in the Warrens, formerly the Warrens Occult Museum, there's a Raggedy Ann doll named Annabelle with a positively do not open warning sign on it. The doll may not look menacing, but of all the items in the cult museum, the doll is what I'd most be frightened of, says Tony Spera, the Warrens' son-in-law. According to the Warrens' report, a 28-year-old nurse who received the doll as a gift in 1968 noticed that it started to change positions. Then she and her roommate started finding parchment paper with written messages saying things like, "Help me," or "Help us." As if that wasn't strange enough, the girls claimed they didn't have any parchment paper in their house. Next, the doll started showing up in different rooms and leaking blood. Unsure of what to do, the two women turned to a medium who said the doll was being occupied by the spirit of a young girl named Annabelle Higgins. That's when Ed and Lorraine Warren took an interest in the case and contacted the women. After evaluating the doll, they came to the immediate conclusion that the doll itself was not in fact possessed, but manipulated by an inhuman presence. The Warrens' evaluation was that the spirit in the doll was looking to possess a human host, so they took it away from the women to keep them safe. While they were driving away with the doll, the brakes on their car failed several times. They pulled over and doused the doll in holy water, and they say that after that, their car trouble stopped. According to Ed and Lorraine, Annabelle the doll continued to move around their house on her own. So they locked her in a glass case and sealed it with a binding prayer. But even now, visitors to the Warrens Museum say that Annabelle continues to cause mischief and may even take revenge on skeptics. One couple of non-believers reportedly got into a motorcycle accident soon after visiting the museum, with the survivor saying that they had been laughing about Annabelle just before the crash. So,
Another one.
Probably the most famous of all of their the documented cases. The other investigations that they do are very intriguing, but the Amityville Horror case was their claim to fame. For those who don't know, quick background: in November of 1974, 23-year-old Ronald DeFeo Jr., the eldest child of the DeFeo family, murdered his entire family in their beds with a .35 caliber rifle while they slept. The infamous case became the catalyst for the claim that the spirits haunted the Amityville house. In 1976, George Lutz and his wife Kathy and their two sons moved into the Long Island house and soon believed a demonic spirit was residing there with them. George said he witnessed his wife transforming into a 90-year-old woman and levitating above the bed. They claimed to see slime seeping out of the walls and a pig-like creature that menaced them. Even more unsettling, knives flew off the counters, pointing right at the members of the family. The family walked around with a crucifix reciting the Lord's Prayer, but to no avail. One night, their final night there, they say that banging as loud as a marching band emanated throughout the house. After 28 days of living there, they claimed to not be able to take it anymore and fled the home. Ed and Lorraine visited the home 20 days after the Lutzes left. According to the Warrens, Ed was physically pushed to the floor, and Lorraine felt an overwhelming sense of demonic presence. Along with their research team, they claimed to capture a picture of a spirit in the form of a little boy on the stairway. The story became so high profile, it launched its own conspiracy theories, books, and films, including the 1979 classic, The Amityville Horror. Some skeptics believe the Lutzes fabricated their story. However, the couple passed a lie detector test with flying colors, and their son Daniel admits that he still has nightmares about the horrifying things he experienced in the Amityville house. That dude also has a documentary out, which is he's definitely he certainly believes it all happened, but at the same time, like, that dude's lived a very rough life. I think it's called My Amityville Horror. It was made a few years back.
Wasn't there a wow, damn it, which there was a movie about that, wasn't there? Like, not just the 1979 one. Didn't they make one of the Conjurings about, or tied it in or something? I can't remember.
They tied it in. Yeah, the beginning of the second Conjuring movie is the Amityville case. But the very beginning.
Gotcha.
Eminem also made a song called Amityville as well, Corey, for keep the facts straight.
He did.
Who's that?
Some guy.
By the way,
I think that documentary sounds really interesting, though, from the guy who was actually there.
And that guy struggles with a lot of the same issues that some of us have struggled with as well. So
good.
It's it was a good watch.
He's real reliable then.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
Like
he's not doing it for money at all.
Right, yeah. Exactly.
I mean, I've never lied to anybody. Also, you mentioned the Annabelle doll and everything like that.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, they used Tony Spera, the Warren's son-in-law, like you mentioned.
Yeah,
he did run that. Their house was a museum, the Warren's Occult Museum,
right?
And apparently it was operational until like 2019. I looked it up because I wanted to go there.
Yeah,
but they're not doing it anymore.
Well, isn't that's where she was encased in glass, right?
Correct. And still is, I guess.
Along with they actually.
How do we know? She might be running around right now.
No, they take her out on tours now because the museum is closed. Yeah.
You know what? Ed Warren roll in his grave, dude.
Probably.
You can't take fucking Annabelle anywhere you want.
So, do you have another one from them, or?
Yeah, I've got one more big case, and then and then we got the flip side of the coin too. So
let's hear it.
All right, so another famous case in August of '77, the Hodgson's family reported strange things happening in their house in Enfield, England. Knocking came from all over the house, causing the Hodgkins to think perhaps burglars were prowling around their residence. They called the police to investigate, and the officer who arrived is said to have witnessed a chair rising and moving on its own. At other times, Legos and marbles flew across the room and were hot to the touch afterward. Folded clothes leapt off tabletops to fly around the room. Lights flickered, furniture spun, and the sound of barking dogs emanated from empty rooms. Then, inexplicably, a fireplace ripped itself out of the wall, attracting the attention of paranormal investigators from around the world, including Ed and Lorraine. The Warrens visited Enfield in 1978 and were convinced that it was a real poltergeist case. Quote, "Those who deal with the supernatural day in and day out know the phenomena are there. There's no doubt about it," Ed Warren is quoted as saying. Then, 2 years after they started, the mysterious activity known as the Enfield haunting abruptly stopped. However, the family maintains that they didn't do anything to stop it. There's many more cases involving the Warrens that they investigated over the years that are just as spooky. The haunting of the Snedeker family, who moved into a home that was used as a mortuary in the past. That became the basis for the film Haunting in Connecticut. The infamous "The Devil Made Me Do It" case of Arnie Johnson, who claimed to have been the victim of demonic possession during an exorcism of a family friend and then murdered his landlord shortly thereafter and blamed it on the possession. The terrifying ordeal of the Smurl family in West Pittston, PA, that claimed to be haunted and sexually assaulted by not one, but 4 distinct entities in their home from the years of 1974 to 1986.
Some ghost freaks, man.
They are.
I mean, you ever seen Scary Movie 2?
The case of Bill Ramsey, dubbed the demonic werewolf of London. the first and only known case in human history of actual lycanthropy, who would attack police officers in a violent rage. In 1989, the Warrens performed an exorcism on Ramsey, and it was reported that his facial features morphed into that of a wolf, and his hands became sharp and twisted like claws. And before we get to the flip side of it, and Bill, I'm going to let you get in here for a second. Just in their later years, the Warrens, as Corey was talking about, they opened up their own occult museum in the back of their home in Monroe, Connecticut. The museum displayed, of course, the Annabelle doll and many other claimed haunted objects and artifacts from around the world. Many of the artifacts from their most famous investigations were featured. The museum did close in 2019 due to zoning issues and concerns around the house being a residential property that was not being used for residential purposes. The museum is still available to a select few individuals. I don't know how I get on that list, but I'm working hard to get on it. Ed passed away in 2006, and Lorraine followed him on April 18th, 2019. So there's a flip side to this, but Bill, I'm going to let you chime in because I know you wanted to.
Yeah. So was it, correct me if I'm wrong, a lot of those seem like they were like within a 10-year window. Is that right?
Well, I would say like the mid 60s up through
late 70s. Like,
yeah, the more famous, and really what it was is going on in this country at that time. There was kind of like a satanic panic, right?
That's what I was about to allude to, which is hysteria and copycat crimes, right? Because you know, all of a sudden, I don't hear about stuff like this happening anymore, but there's cameras everywhere now. So, well, let me just preface with this. Actually, when you started telling those stories, I started getting freaked out, thinking, "Is the door locked right now?" and stuff like that. So that's number one. I do get a little bit, you know, I fall asleep to serial killer documentaries. But sometimes it's not the serial killers that get me as much as the super demented ones and the paranormal tied in stuff like that. It's crazy. I agree with Corey. I don't want to go anywhere into that house because I don't want to even risk it. But yeah, it just seems like, so to me, guys, I think that I'd like to do more research, and Greg, you might know the answer, but if I look at all the things that you were talking about, and I've read about a few of those cases, is like the common thread is the couple.
Yes. Yeah.
So maybe it's the couple.
And that's also too where they draw a lot of skepticism, because all these things seem to just surround
it
them,
only happens on their watch.
Right,
you know, these theatrical things. Now, also, I have to apply logic, otherwise I won't be able to sleep at night, because if I really think that shit's true, that's nuts. But you know what I mean? The logical thing is they're involved, so there's something, either they're some sort of super medium or they're full of shit. I don't know. That's just my you know, opposing, you know, devil's advocate. Well, I guess I'm not the devil's advocate. I'm the opposite. I'm the non-devil's advocate.
It is kind of interesting how, whether all that stuff is true or not, or fabricated or whatever, it is interesting that they made a freaking living out of it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's wild. Yeah. I mean,
honestly, those movies, all in the franchises, are probably worth billions. I mean, in revenue.
Well, Ed never saw any of that. Lorraine saw some of it. Dude, you know what, too? Like, I love the Conjuring series and that whole universe. And by the way, Patrick Wilson is the king
they're
of horror
both
for
phenomenal,
me.
but they are very much portrayed to be the very righteous, very, very good people. And I didn't know the real Ed and Lorraine Warren. They might be amazing people, you know, or have been amazing people.
I struggle. There's one or two of the Conjuring that I couldn't watch all the way through. I was like, this is too crazy.
The second one is terrifying,
and I mean in a scary way. Yeah, the second one, I was like, fuck this.
Dude.
I'm turning this. I'm gonna pretend like it's something else, but I'm turning this shit off.
James Wan, dude, Insidious, all that stuff. When I saw the first Conjuring in theaters with my high school girlfriend, and like I was like 17. I was driving, you know, whatever, and I remember leaving the theater, getting in my car, turning the car on, and then turning it off, putting the keys down in the console, and just like, and then I was like, oh shit, I just turned the car off. Like, I don't know. I was so like sketched out by the
So
movie
bugged
that I had
out,
no
yeah.
idea what I was doing. It was crazy. It's a great
Nice.
movie.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, that's good theater.
So what's the flip side?
So yeah, the flip side, right? So yeah, and this is it, because I don't know. And I've done a lot of research. I've like I said, I'm a nut about this kind of stuff, but I think it's always important to see both sides of it. So the issues, right? The skeptics, all this. But Ed and Lorraine claimed to have investigated 10,000 paranormal cases in their lifetimes. So if they investigated one case per day, that would take them 27.3 years. That's without taking weekends off. As we can see from their books and in the Conjuring universe films and whatnot, that some of these cases took days or months to resolve, right? Ed Warren also during this time had a day job as a bus driver. The couple had a child. They wrote books and made media appearances and operated the occult museum out of their own home. So how could they possibly have accomplished 10,000 cases? Would we
I would say this.
that could be embellished? Who knows?
Could be, but I would say that I don't see why they couldn't work on multiple cases at once. Maybe they're doing 10 cases or at a time, just
Fair
like
enough.
a revolving workove of cases,
Fair enough. And I'm sure not every case. One thing they do kind of explore in the films, and I have in a little bit that I've read from Ed and some of his books that he's written, is that he was very much the kind of guy that would go into one of those situations and actively attempt to disprove any kind of paranormal phenomenon. Is it like leaky pipes banging around or something
Right.
like that? Like, he would investigate all that stuff before just being like, oh, it's a demon,
I would have been like, no, Ed, it's a fucking demon, dude. It's not my leaky pipes. It's a demon.
It's not my leaky pipes.
You don't think I
Many-
checked that, Ed?
Yeah, really.
Right.
What am I, an idiot?
Fucking sitting here losing my marbles.
Right.
Oh, do leaky pipes cause levitation, Ed?
Yeah.
Cause my wife to turn into a 90-year-old hag.
Yeah.
A lot of skeptics point to the Amityville Horror case as being entirely made up by the Lutz family, the Warrens, and the author Jay Anson, who wrote the book The Amityville Horror, all of whom experienced a big level of fame and wealth as a result of the book and film being made. And some people got wealthy, some people got famous, but either way, like all those parties mentioned got something from that case. Ronald DeFeo, the Amityville murderer, and his attorney have both gone on record saying that they believe it to be a hoax and a blatant exploitative cash grab. So I don't know. There are a lot of people out there that think the Lutzes were completely full of it, and that none of that was real. The case featured in the original Conjuring movie was a real life haunting experienced by the Perron family. Both Lorraine Warren and one of the Perron children, Andrea, have confirmed that the movie is accurate. However, the woman who currently owns the home where the Perrons lived, Norma Sutcliffe, says the movie is complete fiction and ended up making an hour-long video about all of the parties involved and how she doesn't believe any of that was real. And again, a cash grab.
So I don't know what
I'm Team Norma.
When did Norma own the house? Because there's been other
the
owners.
Current owner of
the one that's banking off of the fucking money.
Well,
no,
that
she
she's
got
getting
a
for ticket sales.
she got a leaky pipe and she was like, "Oh, there he is."
Yeah,
Gentlemen,
Sean.
we have a guest.
Just real quick, I'm still in the
A
car.
stallion in the night.
I'm still in the car. I'm not video chatting and driving. Just for all of our listeners that can't see this, I'm not
They are.
driving and video chatting.
Eyes on the road, Sean.
Oh, I am. I'm hands free, baby. What's up?
We don't
Hey.
want you to be coming to us from the afterlife. So
Well, it would be
Right.
would be appropriate for the topic this month. I understand.
indeed.
Sean,
Yes, sir, Corey.
since you're here, let's just get your answer real quick because I wanted to ask everybody once we wrap up this segment anyway. All right, demonic possessions, the spiritual realm, hauntings, however you want to phrase it, maybe even specifically some of the Ed and Lorraine Warren cases. What's your take on it? You think they're true or false, fiction or nonfiction?
Well, I mean, I don't know about specific stories, but I believe that the spiritual realm and the demonic realm, I believe they're definitely real for sure.
All right.
Or I definitely believe in the supernatural, 100%. Do I believe that every story out there is absolutely true? I don't. But I wouldn't really be able to tell you which ones are and which ones aren't. I've heard some wild stuff that is hard to believe, but I'm not going to sit here and say it's not. You know what I will say. This may be kind of on the topic, but it's going to be a good take. Is God bless all of our religious listeners, every single one of them. I mean that sincerely. But how come no one ever like gets saved and has like a falls to the floor and has the demons exorcised out of them in like Publix? Like, why is it only at like the altar of a random church? It's never at Publix. It's never at Wendy's. You know what I mean? It's never at like the DMV.
I'm gonna predict something. Mama McDonald's gonna be having a call with you this week, buddy. You're in big trouble.
I was gonna say,
take.
obviously, you don't frequent Walmart very often.
Yeah, dude. There's a lot of possessions at Walmart.
Boy, they be exercising them demons out there.
That's called meth use at Walmart. That's been up for 6 days on methamphetamines. So yeah, that's what I'll say. I believe in the supernatural. I 100% believe. You know the Emmett Fox reading, Corey, that talks about, or it's actually not in his readings. He's got a book that talks about like manifesting green lights. I know I've talked to you about this in the past.
Yeah.
Yes.
I once went like 12 green lights in a row.
Oh yeah.
It was amazing, and I've never been able to duplicate it. So I believe in all that stuff. I think that's a way, way longer and deeper conversation, and I need to get off this call here in a minute. I just wanted to say hello. And I wanted to just everyone, you don't have to do it right now. You can do it when I get off. If you haven't already, I just want a public acknowledgement of my Commanders on how well they're playing and in first place, and maybe an apology from Bill for doubting my Commander loyalty earlier this season.
Oh, yes, I did.
Yep.
Correct.
And also,
hey everybody, now he's a big time Commanders fan. Yep.
Also,
He literally mentioned the Ravens first in our text earlier.
Yeah. All the time.
Bill, who beat you guys this Sunday? Oh, Joe Flacco. Wow. Undefeated.
He always beats us.
Undefeated Steelers. And not to mention the Ravens are kicking ass too. But also, Corey.
They're 1-3, Sean.
They don't stink. They don't stink as bad as the Eagles, but they do stink. And please, no one tell me any results from baseball today, because the Braves had a doubleheader. I know they lost the first game.
Pirates won.
If they win the second game, they're in the playoffs. So nobody tell me. I recorded the last few innings. When I get to my hotel room here in about an hour or two, I'll be watching it.
Very good.
I'm on the road. I love you, boys.
Love you.
Corey, no awkward pauses. And
I don't think I've had any yet.
I'll be back.
Hey, we're making a pact before you get on, Sean. Whoever goes first, to the afterlife, has to come back and haunt a halfway house in the area.
Oh,
not a specific one, but
totally. I love it.
Okay. All right. We're making a blood oath. All right.
All right.
Good to go.
Be good. Sounds good.
All right.
Good to go.
So yeah, that's one thing for sure. If hauntings and stuff are real, you'll know when I die. I'll let you know. Don't worry about it.
Right.
Oh yeah.
Demon time.
All right, let me let's wrap this up here.
Wrap
and
her
then
up.
We'll get on to our next topic. All right, so so like we talked about the Enfield hauntings, the real family involved in that haunting did get caught faking evidence of the haunting as shown in the movie.
Okay, that one's fake then, for
also,
sure.
like in the movie, police officers involved really did claim to see objects move on their own. However, as far as the Warrens were involved, they were only people involved in the case say that unlike the movie, in the real life, the Warrens showed up uninvited to England and left a day later. The haunted Annabelle doll that was that the couple was famous for is certainly an extremely creepy story. That's probably why the whole story first appeared as an episode of The Twilight Zone, which aired 7 years before the Warrens ever met the Annabelle doll. The episode titled
"Now I'm
Living
gonna go
Doll"
watch The Conjuring. I'm gonna be
was
all right.
part of the show's 5th season.
Bullshit.
Stars Teddy Savalas.
All right.
The Smurl family says that they experienced a haunting so strong and malevolent that they saw claw marks appear on the walls. When the Catholic Church refused to grant them an exorcism, they called the Warrens. When the Scranton Catholic Diocese eventually sent someone to investigate, the priest was not impressed by the Warrens, stating they weren't sincere, were not what they purported to be, and were given to sensationalizing.
Well, they're liars.
Okay, and hold on. And this is a priest, and like it's not like priests go around doing exorcisms. I mean, I'm from Pennsylvania, and I'm Catholic.
Very rare.
So they're like, all right, they get called to this thing, and then they're like, this guy's full of shit, is basically what they're saying. So okay,
essentially, yes.
Okay, now I can sleep tonight.
The author who worked with the Snedeker family and the Warrens in order to write the book about the ordeal later recanted the story and said that the family involved, which was going through some serious problems like alcoholism and drug addiction, could not keep their story straight. And I became very frustrated. It's hard writing a nonfiction book when all the people involved are telling you different stories. The Snedeker family had a neighbor living in the upstairs apartment during their stay at the haunted home. The neighbor never had a paranormal experience, and no one who lived in the Snedeker home has had a paranormal experience since the Snedekers left. The New England Skeptical Society investigated many of the Warrens' claims. One founder, Stephen Novella, who is also a neurologist and a professor at Yale School of Medicine, said, "You meet them and oh my God, the guy had no idea what he was doing, didn't know the first thing about anything relevant to paranormal investigation or ghost phenomenon," talking about Ed. He also described the Warrens Occult Museum as full of off-the-shelf Halloween junk, dolls, and toys. The Warrens refused to allow members from the Skeptical Society to shadow them on a paranormal investigation or to examine the evidence the Warrens widely claimed to have proving the existence of paranormal phenomena.
For his safety.
When pressed, Ed Warren said, "You can't have scientific evidence for a spiritual phenomena." The Warrens claim they encountered the werewolf demon of London. They have an entire book about this case in which they specifically say they have exhaustive documentation backing up their claims, but they never share that documentation. Why? If you were a paranormal investigator working on a case with a real life werewolf demon, wouldn't you snap a photo? Beyond that, the claims that the Warrens fabricated at least part of each of the famous haunting that they were involved in. There are extremely troubling claims that Ed Warren groomed a 15-year-old girl he met working as a bus driver, and they eventually had a 40-year relationship that Lorraine supposedly knew about and was complicit in. The Warrens officially said they moved the girl into their home because she had nowhere else to go.
He's the original diddler.
It is claimed that as part of the movie rights to their stories, Lorraine demanded that a contract be drawn up with Warner Brothers, guaranteeing that the movies will not feature negative information about the Warrens, including sex with minors, child pornography, prostitution, or sexual assault. So,
fake news.
It could be. I don't know. And that's why, gentlemen, I leave it up to you. Was this one just huge, elaborate con by a pair of sneaky grifters? or were the demonologist crusaders for good, fighting against the enemies of hell? Is this all a cautionary tale, or is it just good for selling summer popcorn flicks? And kind of to Corey's point, do we believe? And I guess that's the question that it comes down to: is do we believe or do we not?
I don't know, man. I don't know.
I know that
I'll chime in on
I'm
it.
a believer. I'm a
I'll
believer.
chime
I won't say that I believe wholeheartedly in all of these cases, but I am very much like Sean, a believer in the paranormal,
Something, right?
in the spiritual realm.
I agree with that, but I think that personally, I think this is bullshit. Honestly, even from breaking it down, I think these guys are full of it because no one else experiences this stuff. But I do believe in positive, negative energy, good and bad, that attaches to souls and things like that. I've seen the demon in people, you know what I mean? I've felt the demon before, you know what I mean? Like seriously, like in in those times of rock bottom, like you can feel that stuff or sense it. And I've also felt the good side of it too. So I mean, I believe in it, but I don't know if I believe that people are levitating and slime's falling out of the wall. I mean, that sounds preposterous to me. I don't know.
I'll say that
go ahead.
the levitating and like the more outrageous cases of things might be a little far-fetched. However, the past pastor at my church, I remember he had a day where he talked about like the spiritual realm and stuff, and like kind of about this. He has said that he has experienced things. Now again, not like in the movies that we're talking about necessarily, but like for one instance, like he said, I guess he was like walking down the street in like freaking downtown Stewart one day, and some dude on a motorcycle like literally just pulled up next to him, looked at him, and was like, "I'm gonna kill you," and then rode off. Like, and he's a pastor at a church, he's in, like, when you kind of think about it, like he's a soldier for God, right? He's one of the good guys and stuff. So like for like something random like that kind of happened to him, or maybe the guy just had something against Gordon, who knows? But I don't know. If he kind of believes in it, I'll buy into a decent amount of it, I think. And I at least am going to suspend disbelief when watching these movies.
All I'm going to say is, and we can get into it in a later episode, but for my personal experience with all this, it's documented online. It's the Bourbon House in Cleveland, Ohio. You can look it up. It's there. And I live there. So yeah. but we can move on. Corey is going to be taking us through our on the beam segment. For today, you got a reading picked out, and we will wrap up the episode with a little bit of good vibes to kind of bring us back out of all the heavy stuff we were talking about. So
good spiritual stuff.
Take it away, Corey.
For this week on the beam. All right. So first off, we're gonna read a little reading from a book called Around the Year with Emmett Fox. God, I wish Sean was on here to talk about Emmett Fox for a minute, but this is a breakdown of who he was. He lived from 1886 to 1951. Emmett Fox was a New Thought spiritual leader of the early 20th century, famous for his large divine science church services held in New York City during the Depression. He basically, if you read any of his literature, he like, from what I get from him, he took Christianity and kind of slammed it together with like metaphysical laws of attraction, that kind of stuff, a scientific way to pray, that kind of stuff. So let's read this meditation. I read it. It's from September 23rd in this book. It's called The Tide Flows In and Out. And I read it on September 23rd. I liked it. And, which is why I picked it for tonight. So it says this: we do not make our spiritual unfoldment in a steady straight line. Human nature does not work in that way. No one moves upward in a path of unbroken progress to the attainment of perfection. What happens is that we move forward steadily for a while, and then we have a little setback. Then we move forward again, and presently we might have another setback. These setbacks are not important as long as the general movement of our lives is forward. The tide flows in and out. The foremost wave comes in, and it seems as though it would never stop until it reached high water mark. But it does stop and actually goes back. And if one did not know better, he would suppose that that was the end of the matter. But it is not. The tide goes back a little, but not to its old mark. And, I took a picture of this.
And then?
And then it comes on again. And this time it makes a higher mark. This mode of progression seems to be general throughout nature. Do not watch the individual waves, but keep your attention on the tide, and all will be well. Then he said unto them, go your way, for the joy of the Lord is your strength. And I can't pronounce that little. What is that? Do you see it?
Nehemiah
8:10. Okay. Yeah, I took a picture of this. That was insanely hard to read. So yeah, I like that one. I think it's for obvious reasons too. Been sober going on 9 years now. And man, at times it feels like I was doing better at 2 months sober, 3 months sober, you know what I mean? And I can tell myself like, oh, I'm this amount of years sober. I should be doing better than this. I shouldn't be falling short like I am, or what have you. But in general, my life has progressed, and like it's kind of something that you got to kind of zoom out on and look at like your spiritual progression as a whole. Look at the family life, the work life, whatever, your relationships with others, like have things improved as a whole. Most of the time it's just a bad day I'm having, to be honest. But, in those bad days, like in my mind, it's just doomsday, I self-sabotage in my own brain when I'm off a little bit, and I have had times, I mean, we don't shy away from it here. I have had times that I've been off the beam. Little shout out to our segment name, I've been totally off the beam for like quite a while, but generally, like, that's why it's important in sobriety to surround yourself with friends, with people that reel you back. I always said this: I'm grateful to have friends that show me it's not okay to be miserable in sobriety. You know what I mean? Now, I have a gimmick that I'm grumpy and stuff or whatever, but generally, I'm not a miserable waste of life like I was prior to sobriety. Like I said, I've had periods of time where I got a little miserable, but like I said, I've had friends that show me like, this is what we do. This is what our job in sobriety is not just to be sober, physically abstinent from the drugs. It's to be happy. That's the goal, to be happy, joyous, and free. Right. So ultimately, I thought the reading was really good because it reminds us that, to zoom out and to look at things like on a bigger picture and see the progression, so on with that.
Awesome, Corey. Thank you very much. And I'm glad you picked this reading. I love this reading. I love this book. I'm not gonna I've talked a lot this episode, so I'm going to just keep this very, very short and sweet so I can pass this on to my brother Bill. But I just, the thing that keeps chiming through with this reading and this meditation is like, dude, thank God I'm not perfect. Right. Thank God I can make mistakes and realize what those mistakes are. And thank God that, I was taught pretty early on that I just because I got sober doesn't mean that the world's going to be perfect every day. The life is still life. Bad situations still happen, but hopefully I've got all the tools I need to be able to react to those things successfully, and if not successfully, at least with a little dignity and grace. So, Bill, let's hear what you got.
Sorry, I was muted there. Yeah, that was a great reading. And for me, I was just thinking about, I get caught in the trap too of thinking. I wouldn't say often, but man, I just, maybe even the way I'm looking at something or thinking about something, man, like, you're really, like, what have you become? Like, like, how are you thinking this way? You're sober long enough and you haven't, like, crossed this beam or whatever. But, like, as the onion peels back, like, I might be on this side, I might be on the back side, and then, the other side of the layer is a completely different situation that, like, I've been ignorant to, and I don't know how to improve myself because I've never had the chance to evaluate it truly. You know what I mean? And usually that comes by making a mistake and having it pointed out in some manner or another. I know for me, we were talking about spirit and this and that, and I was thinking about that as well. How, like you guys, I have a calling. You know what I mean? I know my calling, and I can ignore God in the universe if I want to. But if I continue, God tells me something that's true, and I know what the overall picture is. Like you were talking about seeing the bigger view, Corey. When I obstruct myself, whenever I weigh myself down and put on these other jackets and these other things that are, weigh me down and bog me down over time, I become uncomfortable. And God says, I've already told you the answer. You sit here and struggle as long as you want. But when you know in your heart the mission's not being met, then you're causing your own pain at that point. You know what I mean? And I think that there's a lot of freedom in realizing that, in life, that if I stick to the mission, which for me, the mission is helping other people recover. I mean, that's my number one mission. And that's been told to me, when I stick to those kind of things, when I focus on that kind of stuff, I'm completely happy. But even when I'm juggling all the plates and fumbling them and fucking them up left and right, and God's laughing at me, I'm still happy because I'm nowhere near, and neither are you guys, what we were 9-10 years ago with the demonic possessions on our shoulder and our chest and eating our families alive, So even on those shitty, terrible days, tonight I'm going to go wherever I'm going to go to sleep, and I'm going to say, thank you, God. Thank you so much, man, for this opportunity. And when I wake up, I'm gonna act surprised again that I got breath in my lungs and another opportunity. And I'm gonna say, thank you, God. Thank you for waking me up today. Because there's a dude in a hospital room tonight that wants out, that cannot and will not wake up tomorrow.
Yeah.
That's the truth. And this is one life and one opportunity. We'll only get one September 30th, 2024, boys. And as I see things as I get older, 40 years old, I'm pushing 40. Like, I'm due a midlife crisis. If you do the math, we're there already. You know what I mean? Like, these people act like that's 60. No, it's like 40. You know what I mean? So enjoy your time. You know what I mean? Enjoy the time that you have. And not every character in the story is meant to sit at your table and eat dinner with you either. So I love you guys. Thanks for that topic, Corey.
Yeah, thank you, Corey.
Yeah.
That was real good stuff. And thank you guys for a solid episode, man. Shout out to our listeners. Please like, follow, and share on all socials at Trudge Report Pod. Email us at trudgereportpod@yahoo.com.
Oh, Greg, hold on. We didn't even RIP Pete Rose.
Oh,
Dikembe, who was it?
We lost Chris Christopherson, Dikembe Mutombo, and Pete Rose all in a 24-hour period. So,
and I was saving this for the podcast because I cannot remember. But who is Chris Christopherson?
Yo, he's
Fine
big country music star and an actor.
Why did I think he was a member of NSYNC? Is there a guy with a close name to that?
Hell?
I don't know. I wanted to save this for here. I don't know. I didn't know who it was, but I was like, I'm gonna ask on the podcast.
Chris Christopherson, dude, he's an old school.
Here's the deal.
No.
Pete Rose is going to haunt the Phillies locker room.
Oh, he's gonna haunt the MLB
As he should.
Yeah.
He's gonna haunt the Hall of Fame for sure.
Yep. He's a WWE Hall of Famer, at least. He's got that going for him.
Yeah.
Vinnie Mac knows talent when he
Good-
sees it.
Good point.
God
Touche.
knows what he had to
I
do. to
forgot
get in
about
there.
that. Yeah. That was a good storyline. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
All right.
Yeah.
So that email.
And don't
once
forget
again-
Matumbo either. I'm sorry about that.
Yeah, Mutombo is a great.
Finger wave.
Is a great. Yes. All right. So that email, once again, at trudgereportpod@yahoo.com. Send mailbag requests for topics, questions, and comments to any of these handles. We want to talk to you. We want to hear from you. Send them in. Remember, we're all here. If anyone wants to talk about recovery and our experiences, or if you're struggling with some form of addiction, again, a quick reminder that our episodes will now air on Thursdays going forward on your listening platforms. The video portion on your watching platforms the following day on Fridays. Thank you again to Janine and Stella Mix Podcast Management. Good night. God bless. And may you trudge the road of happy destiny. We'll see you next week.